Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our post-orientation family workshop. It is so wild to think that we are here, our students are here. You have entrusted us with your amazing students, and our semester has already started. We are really excited to share some information with you today to talk a little bit about what your students experienced at orientation, talk a little bit about what the resources continue to look like in this first semester, in this first year, both in terms of student services that exist, but then also our wonderful academics and the support that our students will receive there. At the end, we will close with a panel of current students, so you'll be able to hear from their perspective what they are experiencing. And then given that there is some time at the end, we will open it up for questions. So we have a pretty jam-packed workshop with you all today, but we are really grateful that you have chosen to spend some time with us. So before we get started with our content, we are going to do some quick introductions for everybody who is here joining us today. So I will start. My name is Bobby Lynn Kekik. I use the she series pronouns, and I'm the executive director for orientation and student onboarding.
Evening, everybody. My name is Nicole Shabbat-Weifrich. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the Associate Dean for Student Engagement here on campus.
Everyone, my name is Melissa Jenkins. I am the Director of Undergraduate Academic Advising.
Hi, everyone. My name is Caroline Horn. I'm the Associate Director for Orientation and Student Onboarding.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kenny Allard. I'm the Assistant Director for Orientation and Student Onboarding here at Bentley.
Hey everyone, my name is Ashley Kaminsky. I am the new Assistant Director of Bentley Plus. Nice to meet you all.
Wonderful. And to get us officially started today, we are going to turn it over to our Vice President for Student Affairs and Dean of Students to start with a little bit of a welcome as we get kicked off. Andrew, take it away.
Yeah. My name is Andrew Shepherdson. I am the Vice President for Student Affairs and the Dean of Students. I'm thrilled to welcome you tonight and thank you for taking time out of your evening to join us this evening. And I just want to say what a great first fortnight it has been with your students. If you were at convocation, you may remember me last time I spoke to you. I had a big funny hat on and a maroon robe and was welcoming you to convocation. And from there, we had an incredible orientation experience. And I think all of us were remarking that night on campus how engaged the students were. They were all on the green space with a really fun glow-in-the-dark evening of activities and fried dough and all sorts of things. But really just we were watching and engaging with them and seeing them together in groups, meeting other groups, walking around, talking to each other, and a really engaged group, which was really wonderful to see. And that lasted throughout the whole program. And seeing them on campus, watching them walk around, spoke to them again on Sunday morning before we had a speaker, Ed Garrity, speak to them. Really, really engaged. And that was the thing, that was what I heard consistently from all of the members of the community that were meeting and engaging with your students, was how engaged they were, how respectful, how interested, and how much they were really getting into the student experience. So thank you for all that you have done to get them to our doorstep and to have them be our students. We are thrilled to work with them. We're thrilled to spend the time this evening and going through and engaging and answering questions. And of course, hearing from current students is the best way to learn about what's happening on campus. But I know I speak for all of my colleagues. Tonight is not just a one and done. If you have questions for any of us on this, please find our emails online. Please reach out to us. We are really happy to help you and help your student as they make their way into their first year of college. So thank you and really appreciate your time this evening.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Andrew. And just to echo what Andrew said, we really do view our families, our supporters, our guardians, our parents as partners in this experience. We recognize that your students have been with you much longer than they've been here with us at Bentley. And so you will continue to see more information come out from our various offices. If you view the Bentley brief, you'll see highlights for our new family members. And we will be continuing this webinar series throughout the first year. So you're not getting rid of us. We're here, and we're really excited and grateful that you have your students here with us as we start this journey with them. And just to share one last piece, we are recording this session. So if you have someone in your family who was unable to join us live, please feel free to view this recording. And you can always reach out to us with any questions that we might have or that you might have. But without further ado, let's get started with a quick orientation overview.
So for the orientation program, we had a 4-day orientation program, and hopefully we were able to meet some of you at move-in day, but just some quick highlights for orientation day 1. So we offered a vendor fair for students and their families to connect with both on-campus and off-campus resources. We had a commuter student check-in and a commuter student welcome meeting where they were able to connect with our student programs and engagement office and our academic advising team, as well as some of our orientation team members who are also commuter students. We offered the Falcon Family Hub and the Falcon Walk for students and their families on the green space. And then we went to the arena for convocation, where we were able to welcome the students to their academic career at Bentley. From there, we were able to keep all of our students in the arena for our orientation group welcome, and then they had their first group meetings with their orientation groups. That night, if students are residential, they were able to connect with their hall and their RAs. And then we ended the night with Flex's Flock Party, which was a glow-in-the-dark event on the green space where students could play games, go on glow-in-the-dark swings, and have some different like glow sticks and those sorts of things. So that was day 1. Day 2, we kicked off the day with another set of orientation group meetings, and then they were able to hear from some of our vice president's leadership team through the Office of Student Affairs about the importance of belonging at Bentley. We had a keynote, which was Anthony Valentine and his team, More Than Skin Deep. Students were able to participate in the recording of this on move-in day, and then we showed the video and had a keynote the next day. Our students were able to connect with the Falcon Discovery Seminar peer leaders and their orientation leaders in a group meeting this day. They were able to hear from the academic services team with their academic overview. We had a resource fair and scavenger hunt for students, which unfortunately for a little bit of it did get rained out, but students were still able to connect with resources, and we've shared that information with them too on the Campus Groups app so they can continue to connect and learn more about academics at Bentley and the different centers we have. And then we ended this night with the Bentley Bash, which was a program that took place in the Student Center.
Hi again, everyone. So on orientation day 3, we had our community connections, which was centered around our students just meeting different campus partners. So through community connections, we had a session or a rotation called community meetups, where they got to actually physically see some of our campus partners, like the health center, the counseling center, our multicultural center, and so many others, which was really helpful for the students to be able to physically walk and see where these spaces are in case they may need them in the future. During this day, they also had an Equity at Bentley session, which was our Title IX office. And then we also had a Life of the Bentley student panel, where your students were able to talk to current students at Bentley from all different pockets on campus and ask questions on what it's like to be a student, what it's like to get an internship, how to get involved, and so on and so forth. They also had orientation small group meetings where they were able to connect further with their orientation leader and fellow new students. We also had Lowering Our Shields, which is a signature event here at Bentley, where new students are able to hear stories from orientation leaders on what it was like for them to find social connection or disconnection here at Bentley. And then they were able to go and do that with their groups as well, and share if they chose to. Ending out that night, we had Falcons After Dark, which is another signature at Bentley. And that was hosted in our student center, and we did karaoke, trivia, and everyone's favorite, make your own street signs. And last but not least, orientation day 4. Once again, another Bentley tradition is our keynote speaker, Ed Garrity. He comes and talks to students every year, and he is a hit. They also have a Falcon Discovery Seminar group meeting where they get to meet and further they get to meet and talk to their FDS peer leaders as well. Which they will be connected with throughout their first semester here at Bentley. They also had a student development conduct and care meeting where they got to hear from that office on their rights and responsibilities here at Bentley. They had a session on Bentley Plus, which you'll be hearing about more, I believe, in the next slide. So we don't want to give away too much on that. And then we also had a mini good vibe session where it was activities fair style, and they were able to learn more about well-being and wellness. And then they had a closing group meeting where they were able to connect one last time with their orientation leader, ask the orientation leader any final questions that they had before they departed. And then we ended it with DIY room decor and make your own bamboo. Last but not least, we have Falcon 40. So Falcon 40 is a programming series here at Bentley where it's the first 40 days of the semester, and we highlight all the different programming across campus, whether it's athletic events, club events, other offices hosting events, just a way for students to just get involved or to attend events with some friends. Some of them also are just as easy as go to brunch on Moody Street or take a walk around campus with a new friend, just to get them out and moving and interacting with new people. We also want to highlight our Falcon Discovery and Transfer Seminar experience. So the Falcon Discovery Seminar engages our first year students in the university community and prepares them to be lifelong learners. This course introduces students to the power of communities by framing the discussion of communities around an authentic problem.
Beautiful. Thank you, Penny, for all the good insight on the schedule. Just a PSA for everyone, my Wi-Fi is being a little wonky, so if I lose ya, I'll be back soon. So yeah, I'm excited to chat about Bentley Plus. We had an amazing first session with all of our incoming students called our Foundations of Wellbeing session. So really centering the students' awareness around how to be the best versions of themselves. So talking to them about finding balance, making friends, and creating connections, talking a lot about setting goals and wanting to go beyond just the mindset of the only way to be well is to get enough sleep, to eat right, those sorts of things. We know that those things are super important and can be foundational, but we want to move beyond that. We want to make sure the students know how to experience joy and express gratitude for all the wonderful things that, you all probably have done for them and for what their friends and new connections will do for them. So This is a new program we're super excited about, and we think it's going to be super helpful as they navigate, for many of them living on their own or living away from family for the first time. But beyond well-being, we really help support the students in developing durable and career-ready skills, which might sound very business school, and it is, but I promise we put a fun spin on it. We know that the students are learning a lot in the classroom and they're learning a whole lot outside of the classroom. So myself and many of the people that you see on this call tonight serve as advisors to the students. And I've been explaining it to the students as a way for them to connect what they're doing in and out of the classroom to what they want their future to look like, not just at their careers. Many of them, it is the main focus, right? The career is the goal at the end of this, but how it's going to be like to live in a new city potentially, or how to make friends when you don't have those built-in settings. So if you talk to your student, I'm probably the one that's been telling them that they should attend Bentley Plus kickoff sessions that are happening right now. And I think an easy way for me to talk about it is, there are, like I said, are some incredible people on this call, and your students are going to have great faculty members. They're going to have a great residence director in their hall or an RA. So this program is really just one more person that can care about your student and care about the impact that they're making on campus. And so I've been telling the students, why wouldn't you want just one more person to care about you during your time here? So excited to have been able to share with you all a little bit about it, but definitely please recommend your students just figure out what Bentley Plus is. And like I said, my name's Ashley. Feel free to send them my way. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Ashley. And I think this is a wonderful dovetail into a little bit of a bigger picture conversation about how those of us who work in student affairs and even our colleagues across campus really approach the student experience. And I have the delightful privilege of working with everyone on this call, and also, as many have echoed, had the opportunity to see your students engaging during the orientation program, and really was just wonderfully surprised and delighted to see them showing up day after day, continuing to be with their orientation groups and just building those connections. So in the Division of Student Affairs, we have the great privilege of working very closely with our students in so many different ways, and I'm here to just share a little bit about those with you all tonight. We have our student well-being is one of our focus areas, and something that Ashley did such a beautiful job of just speaking about with how our Bentley Plus program ties into that. But we really care deeply about the well-being of our students in so many different avenues of their life at Bentley. For most of them and many of them, they live on campus, they're sleeping, eating on campus, going to class, their social network is there. And so it's really amazing to watch them navigate that. And we take it very seriously to make sure that that environment is one that helps them foster well-being and foster connections and physical, emotional, spiritual growth. And we're really excited about that. Our health center is centrally located on campus, our counseling center as well. And those practices and offices really afford a lot of opportunity for students to build community with our staff members, but also seek resources that are really essential for them to be healthy and well as they navigate their first semester on campus. Also, our Bentley Plus program, as Ashley spoke about, really ties so nicely into our well-being focus, helping students identify who they are, what competencies they want to develop, and how to become really well-balanced humans as they start to navigate this new journey. Equity and inclusion is another of our focus areas. Our student equity and inclusion area in student affairs had a lot of face time with your students during orientation. So we have our Spiritual Life Center, our Center for International Students and Scholars. They support our international students, both at the undergraduate and graduate level. Our Multicultural Center ran the Mosaic program for any of our families who may have had students participating in that pre-orientation program, but also throughout the year supports our students across campus, specifically focusing, as we do, on our students of color, our populations on campus who are looking for any support as it relates to cultural development and identity development. And then we have our Gender and Sexuality Student Programs Office, and that area really works to support our students as they focus on gender identity, sexual orientation. As students, any student on our campus is navigating their identity development and seeking resources. These areas are there to help them. It's incredibly important for us to design equitable experiences for all of our students. So really making our spaces safe for students to ask questions, explore what it means to be inclusive, and their identity development as they become more involved in their own growth in their time here. And then finally, we list social connection. This is incredibly important. I get the privilege of working with our engagement area, which houses our orientation and student onboarding team. And most of you have now experienced some level of that orientation work and the incredible role that our staff and that team play and our students welcome onto campus and their onboarding. But then also our student programs and engagement team is in this area as well. And your students have already experienced a beautiful microcosm of what our social life on campus is through the social programs during orientation, all the way through our Back to Bentley program, which is our Welcome Back program for all students last week. We had our activity fair where we have our 125 student organizations out on the green space. We had over 1,000 students walking around. It was a beautiful afternoon. We ended our Back to Bentley weekend with a carnival on Saturday, which mostly got off without a hitch, but we did have some awful torrential rain come in at the end. So we went out with a bang on our Back to Bentley weekend, but it was a really wonderful welcome to our students with over a dozen events that they could participate in. And some of those were our athletic events as well. We had our first home football game. Last weekend, we had a home field hockey game. We've had volleyball already on campus, and our competitive sports and our intramurals are all up and running. Our fitness center is open. We just reopened our Dana Center, which is our gymnasium where our basketball teams play. And it's a beautiful new facility, new floor, new orientation in that space. So our students really have so much to explore. And again, that crosses well-being, it crosses equity and inclusion, that also crosses into our social connections. So we really work hard and love to make resources available for our students to live beautifully full and enriched lives on our campus, and happy to paint a little bit of that picture for you tonight. And if there's any questions that you have, you could certainly feel free to throw those in the Q&A, and we will be answering questions as we go forward, and then happy to open that up more later. But thank you again, as Andrew shared, and others. Thank you for entrusting us with your students, for sharing them with us. They are part of what makes our fabric so rich and beautiful, and we're just really excited to have them find themselves in their time with us.
Great. So shifting gears a little bit, I want to talk a little bit about the registration and advising process that your students went through and what they can expect from academic advising moving forward. So academic advising is out of the Office of Student Success. We are one of many teams or offices under that umbrella. So in addition to academic advising, we also have student accessibility services for those students who may need accommodations during their learning. We also have peer tutoring and mentoring. We have success coaching, which is run out of the same office as peer tutoring and mentoring. So it's a nice one-stop shop. And then also the Falcon Discovery Seminar and Transfer Seminar that you heard a little bit about earlier is also out of the Office of Student Success. This doesn't encompass all of the offices, but it is the ones that your first-year students will touch upon the most and right away. It also represents the offices that are housed in the suite together in Jennison 336. So I know that doesn't mean much to you right now, but if you tell your students that they can get help about anything or get great referrals if they go into the Jennison building and look for the Office of Student Success, we are centrally located in one of the academic buildings. So easy to find if they need us. So one of the things that we as advisors are trying to do is much like what our friends in student affairs are doing, trying to help students manage and navigate their new environment. So those are the three big things that I want to talk about right now: navigating, investigating, and connecting. So one of the things that we want to help students do right from the beginning is understand how to navigate their academic schedules, and learn some time management skills in a new way that they haven't used it before in high school. We want to help them adjust to their new living, learning community. While some are not living on campus and commute, they are still part of our community, and this is a very vibrant learning community that feels very residential, even though a student might live in Waltham or another town. This is also, we want to help students navigate new processes, new systems. They're used to going to school, but they're not used to going to college, and things are a little bit different. And so helping them navigate these differences is part of what we do. We want to help them investigate their opportunities. So some of them, almost all of them, have come in with a declared major. Some came in undeclared or undecided, and that's totally fine. What we need our students to do is to start thinking about the academic programs that they've selected or they're thinking about selecting. By no means, if they've selected a major, is it the one that they need to keep. They can change at any time. But the sooner they start investigating to understand what the academic programs are and the opportunities that they have, the easier it is to start making that decisions and forming academic plans. We want to help them learn their resources. We want to help them to understand how to ask questions, who to ask questions to, and to give them the confidence to start asking those questions. We want to help them learn how to be prepared in the classroom, prepared to engage across campus, prepared to connect with alums, and prepared to connect with potential employers. So all of that is part of helping them negotiate, navigate, and investigate. We want them to really connect, and we've talked a lot about connecting, but I think what I want to do is talk about what connecting means. So for new students, connecting means being present in class, paying attention, engaging during office hours or drop-ins or any of the programs. By engagement, we mean asking questions, taking notes, participating, being active participants in your education, whether it's in somebody's office, whether it's participating in a program, or whether it's engaging in the classroom. So it's really important that they make mindful connections. And we're going to talk a lot about that as we meet with them. So our roles as advisors, I want to kind of go over that at a very high level. So advisors are educators. We are partners and we are guides to your students and you as support people to your students. It is our job to provide accurate and timely information. We have very knowledgeable advisors on campus. We are very responsive to students. We have multiple ways in which they can engage with us, both face-to-face, through email, through Zoom, by phone. We are here and we are accessible. We ask open-ended questions. That is a big part of our role. We ask open-ended questions because as educators, we want to have students think about what they're trying to experience, think about opportunities. We want them to think about how to identify their goals. And that way we can best direct them towards information that will help them to continue to make the best decisions to reach those goals. We help support them academically and during this social transition. The jump from high school to college is a big one. Your students were very successful in their high school experience. That's how they got here. They have great skills. They are knowledgeable, and they thrived in their prior environment. We expect the same here. They deserve to be here. They will need support at different levels and at different times, but it is going to be a transition and it's going to be an adjustment. And sometimes that doesn't always feel comfortable. We're here to help them. That's how we partner with them. And we are guides for them. We will make appropriate referrals for support, whether it's through academic affairs or our friends in student affairs. We have a progress reporting system. We have a system in which if someone's concerned about somebody's well-being, they can put in a care report. We make sure sure that if someone is identified or they haven't self-identified as potentially needing some support, we have systems in place that we can catch them and we can offer up those support services to them. So we will do active outreach. Students also have a responsibility. The advisor-advisee relationship is just that, a relationship and a partnership. So students have responsibilities as students here in how they engage in academic advising. So we expect them to be curious, we expect them to be prepared, and we expect them to be engaged. So what does that mean? Curious. We need them to explore, learn about academic expectations and opportunities available to them. So again, going back to whether they're a declared major or not, they need to start exploring the options. Am I in the right major? Does this make sense for me? I am undecided. What are the opportunities available to me? And there's lots of information to passively start learning about that through the Bentley website. If they're interested in adding academic programs, doing a double major, adding a minor, studying abroad, they need to be curious and start engaging in the information on the web, the programs that are being offered from those offices, and start understanding what is possible for them and what they need to do to help set up some goals and plans to help those come to fruition. We want them to be prepared, and it's really important that they do that. And what we mean by prepared is they all have an academic audit. They have a Workday account. There's a lot of information in there that they need to understand. So they should be reviewing their audit frequently. They can see what classes they're currently enrolled in. At the end of the semester, they'll be able to see their grades there and where they sit on their degree, what they have left to finish for classes so that their degree is completed. We expect that they, once they learn these resources and know where to find them, that they're reviewing them often, and especially before they come in for appointments or drop-ins. When they come to meet with us, we want them to prioritize the topics they want to discuss. Be prepared coming in and encourage them to be prepared with questions, with a list of topics that they want to discuss. It helps us use the most of our time together and really hone in on how can we help them with the prescriptive planning, but also how can we have time to have more developmental conversations? The why. Why do you want to do this major? Why is studying abroad important to you? Is it realistic to have all of these things on your to-do plate? And is it realistic that you'll be able to accomplish them successfully while doing your best work? So it's really important that they come prepared. And we want them to be engaged during our advising meetings. And that means taking notes. That means creating or editing short and long-term plans that we build in partnership with them. And it also means to make to-do lists. What do I have to do after I leave here? What have I learned? What do I still need to learn? Again, we are educators, so a lot of what we're doing is giving them the information so they can set these goals, take the proper classes, get their degree, but we are also trying to help them build the skills that they need to be successful in the classroom, as well as in their work life post-graduation. These are the same things they need to do, the skills they need to build to be successful in those areas as well. So we serve a dual role. We want to give them the information, but we also want to help them build those skills that are going to be critical for them. So how can your student, or how is your student connecting with us during the first semester? They are assigned an academic advisor. They're assigned at the very beginning of their first semester. They can find that information in Workday. They can find it in their Navigate. That assigned advisor will be with them for their 4 years at Bentley, or their however long they're here at Bentley to complete their degree, provided we don't have staffing changes. So that does happen, and we do need to reorganize. But the goal is that they meet their advisor in their first year and they they build a relationship throughout those semesters together, and they work together throughout their time to completion. As we've mentioned previously, there's Falcon Discovery Seminar along with Transfer Seminar. So those are the Falcon Discovery Seminar is an 3-credit academic course that's taught by an instructor, a faculty member at Bentley, but they're also paired up with a peer leader who helps to teach the course and focuses really on those transition skills, those connection skills, and opportunities for students to take advantage of outside of the classroom. We rely heavily on the peer leaders in the first semester to help us onboard the students, help them better understand the tangible things like what is your audit? How do you read your audit? Where do I find the audit? We've developed educational modules that they present as part of Falcon Discovery Seminar. They also serve as our extension to advising. They are highly trained and they have a lot of great advice to give around course planning and registration that will happen in November. The transfer seminar is taught by an academic advisor. It is a 6-week course. It is framed very differently because we know that our transfer students have experience being college students on other campuses and at other universities. So what we want to do is really use those 6 weeks to help them better understand how things work at Bentley. How do we take your previous college experience and everything you learned from that and show you how it applies to Bentley and what you need to know. We will also offer first-year students group advising, and the peer leaders will help guide students into those group advising sessions that they will sign up for. And it's an extension of what did you do with your peer leaders to prep for your registration for the spring that happens in November, and how can we continue to build on what you know and what you need to know. Throughout the year, for any student at any time, we offer drop-in advising. So that is every day from 11 to 3. It is staffed by our peer advisors who are highly trained upper-class students. It's meant for 10-minute drop-ins to ask quick questions, to get some information about a process, a policy, a procedure, just to get some quick advice. Appointments can be scheduled with their academic advisor or any available advisor that fits best with their current schedule. They're 30-minute appointments. They schedule them online so they can find a convenient time and day that works for them. And during those 30 minutes, we can expand on what we can talk about. Again, doing things more like long-range planning, talking about academic opportunities, discussing how to prioritize what your goals might be. Talk about maybe some transition challenges or academic challenges you're facing and what other resources might help support the student as they overcome those challenges. And then for programming, we offer our own programming and advertise heavily to our students. We also partner with other offices and teams across campus to participate in their program so that we can add a layer of advising or contribute to the information they're giving in the context of advising and academics. So we strongly encourage students to better understand what programs are being offered. We show them where they can find our advertising. We have an Instagram account they should follow. It's where we post a lot of our programming advertising, but also really important deadlines and dates that are coming up, as well as tips and suggestions around registration time or finals. So our students should connect with us through Instagram to get that information. It will also help them realize that, I might need a drop-in to better understand what they're talking about in this post, or make an appointment to start prepping for something.
Thank you so much, Melissa. Our academic advising team is great and they're an amazing resource for your students. They were able to connect with some of the advisors throughout orientation as well. And we will have a future live chat about halfway through the semester where we'll really dive a little bit more into course registration, but feel free to add any of the questions that you have into the chat and we can get those answered for you. one piece that we wanted you all to kind of spend some time thinking about tonight is really being able to take a moment reflecting your thoughts and wishes for your new student to open at the end of this academic year. So we will post the link in the chat for you all to begin writing that, and feel free to reflect on your thoughts, goals, and wishes for your new student. And then if you want to select the send date to be May 1st, 2026, you can type in their email address and it will send out to them on that day. And then when they get it, feel free to connect with them and reflect on all that they accomplished during their first year here. Now I'm going to hand it back to Kenny as we are going to host a panel with some of our orientation team members. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that you're able to see their faces as well when they are speaking.
Awesome. So welcome. On our screen, we have some orientation leaders that your students may have had. So we're gonna do some introductions with them, but this is also your opportunity to ask them any questions that you have. So please feel free to use that Q&A feature, and we can go through some of the questions that you have. But to start off, if we could have our orientation leaders introduce yourself with your name, your year, your hometown, what you're majoring in, and then the number of years you've been in OL, which I think it's the same for all of you. So we can start with Grace.
Okay. Hi, I'm Grace. I'm a sophomore here at Bentley, so it was my first year being an OL. I'm an accounting major and I'm from Colony, New York.
We can go to Josh.
Hi, I'm Josh. I'm from Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. I'm a sophomore, so it was also my first year being an OL. I'm a double major in professional sales and finance.
Awesome. And then Diego.
Hi, I'm Diego. I'm a junior. It was also my first year being on OL. And I'm a finance major, but also pursuing my master's in finance through the advanced standing program. And I'm from Caguas, Puerto Rico.
Awesome. Are there any questions any folks have? If not, I have some primer questions that we can ask. All right, while we wait, what activities are you involved in on campus?
I'll start. Aside from orientation, I'm also part of Delta Sigma Pi, which is one of the professional fraternities on campus. And I'm a well-being educator, which basically another type of peer mentor or built-in friend that Bentley offers students.
I can go next. So outside of being an OL, I'm also an admissions ambassador, which is like a tour guide. I'm also involved in Bentley Her Campus, Women's Network, and the Honors Program.
I'll go last, I guess. I'm in Bentley Investment Group, Bentley Alternative Investment Group, DECO, which is just a business competition sort of organization. I also test shoes for Converse. They come on campus if your kids happen to be a size 9 to a 10 for men's, and I think it's a 6 to a 7 for women's. But yeah, they come on campus and you can just test shoes for them, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome. I'll have questions for you after Josh more about that. That's awesome. What was your favorite part of being a new student at Bentley?
Sorry, Josh. I can start. So I loved that my FDS group was the same as my orientation group. For me, that was really important because I got to start making those friends during orientation, and then we got to continue it throughout the semester. And yeah, that's kind of just part of it. I really liked getting to know new people and build those friendships.
I would say for me, coming from Florida, I met a lot of people from all over the place. Bentley is very diverse in terms of how many like different representations and backgrounds there are. So that was pretty fun. And then also just going through the orientation program was really fun for me. There was a lot of events and things to go to, so that was cool.
And similar to Josh, it's like coming from a small island, just seeing the diversity of people and meeting everyone was amazing. Also, the amount of events Bentley hosts throughout the whole semester is just a really good way of getting to know people and just breaking the ice, stepping out of your comfort zone.
Awesome. Thank you. Let's see if we have any questions. Someone asked, tell us how you learned how to get around Waltham and then the city.
I could take this one first. I went on the Harvard shuttle around like 3 times a week when I got here because I have never been to like Boston very much, which is quite a lot if you don't know. But the shuttles have an app, Track My Shuttle, and there's also a website that you can go to, and it shows you where they are. And then once you get into the city, Boston's very easy because the T has a map that's in every single station. So I would just use that. And then for Waltham, just similarly, I would look at the Falcon Flyer and like where it goes, and all the stops have sort of a landmark or something that's near it. So that's sort of how I learned.
Yeah, I think getting a general idea of where the trains take you was the best thing I did my first year. And also, honestly, just walking around and just finding a friend that wants to go explore with you, just walk around the city.
Going off of what Diego said, having a friend just to walk around and explore the city, like a few times my friends and I did that on a Saturday. We just like walk around Harvard Square or we take the T to a new place. And that was a really great way just to kind of get our bearings and know the area a little bit better.
Awesome. Thank you. Someone was wondering how their student can make friends on campus. They're having a difficult transition, and they know it's still very new, but was just wondering how can they start meeting new people?
Something I would definitely recommend that really helped me my first year was if I had a class that was around like the 11 o'clock or 12:30 time slot, I would invite like people who sat next to me to go to lunch before or after in one of like the dining spaces near campus. And that was a really great way because it's something easy. Everyone can grab whatever food they want, and it's just kind of a built-in way to make friends.
I would say just go around meeting people who like live near you. For me, a lot of my friends came from the people who were in my dorm. I was in Slade my freshman year, and I would just go knock on people's doors and say, "Hey, you want to hang out or do something?" And most people would just say yes because a lot of people are in a similar boat where they're just trying to meet new people.
Yeah, for me it was especially like the cultural events on campus because they give you a built-in topic to talk about, and also there's usually food, which always brings people together. So honestly, just remembering that everyone is on the same boat as you. Most people don't know anyone or many people, so just go up to people, talk to them.
Awesome. Someone is wondering how students get involved in fraternity and sorority life on campus.
I'll take this one. Um, at least for the professional fraternities, they are co-ed, so both men and women can join. There are rush events at the beginning of each semester, and if you're interested, you go through an interview process, and then whether on if you're selected or not, then you go to pledging, and then you become a brother. And if I'm not mistaken, second semester you can rush from second semester onwards. So the first semester you can go see the events, see if you like what you see, but you can't really join.
Yeah, I know I'm not a student, but I'm happy to jump in as well. I work closely with our fraternity and sorority community on campus, inclusive of our business fraternities and academic organizations that Diego is a part of, but also our social fraternities and sororities. So we do have what we call a deferred recruitment program, which means that we allow students their first semester to really adjust on campus, go to different events, look at different opportunities and really assess if joining is something they're interested in. And then we do run our recruitment processes at the beginning of the second semester. For first year students, certainly this is an opportunity for upper class students as well, but that takes place at the end of January into February of each spring semester each year. We have a team in student programs and engagement who works really closely with all students going through that recruitment process to make sure they understand what to expect, and they also work closely with the chapters on ensuring that everything is planned according to policy and values for the university from a chapter perspective. So if there are other questions about fraternity and sorority life on campus, we have about 20% of our student body participates, and that number increases when you add on our academic business fraternities as well. So it is something that a lot of our students seek, and they really do a lot to contribute back to the community, but happy to answer more questions about that if they pop up.
Awesome. Any other questions before I do another question that I have? Okay, how did you go about keeping in touch with your family members while you were away?
I can take this, I guess, or like the first one. I call my family members a lot. Like I call my mom pretty much every day. I'd also send them photos of just what I'm doing. If I was in Boston, if I was at a club meeting or something, and I would just say, "Hey, oh, I'm taking a photo," and it'd just be me in the photo, a selfie, something, just to sort of stay involved. And also on their behalf, like they would send me photos of like my pets and other things that are just going on because it kept me sort of in a loop. Because being from Florida, I wouldn't go home until Thanksgiving usually, so you don't really see much. So just being involved and I guess having your kid send you something or calling them, I guess it's personal preference on that, but.
Yeah, going off of that, like I used a lot of technology, mainly like FaceTime, text messaging. And something that really worked for my family is I gave my family my class schedule and then they knew like when I was available. And then if we were like calling it that, they're like, oh, like you had accounting earlier today. Like, how was that? So just kind of gave them a little bit of a way to know what was going on each day. And yeah, staying in contact with photos was a really great way as well.
I set reminders for myself, like on my phone, to check in with my family. I try to call like the close family members at least 3 times a week, but every day at least a good morning, good night text, just making sure everything's okay on their side, letting them know that everything's okay on my side. Thing goes a long way.
Awesome. And then last question that I have is what advice would you give to parents of new college students?
I can start. Um, I think just building that trust that they can be independent before they leave for college. I think that's something my parents did with me. They started like giving me more, I guess, I don't want to say responsibilities, but more freedoms while I was still back home. So they would be calm that I could take care of myself when I'm over here. And just like building that trust that they can take care of themselves and just them knowing what being independent entails is a really good way to just calm the nerves on both sides.
Kind of from that communication aspect, I would say like trying to meet them where they're at, if that makes sense. Like I know like some of my friends, their families download like Snapchat because that's what their student was using primarily. Or like I mentioned with the class schedule, just like knowing that your student is going to be busy with homework or organization meetings. So just kind of trying to communicate when they're available and understanding that they do have a lot going on.
Going off of both of that, I would say setting sort of goals with them, like in present, because like I would set goals with my parents saying I would do this or that and update them on what I was doing on campus. And they knew where I was because obviously you'll know where your kid is from when they left. But maybe on campus they want to be involved in something they never done before. So and them saying that to you and telling you, hey, I want to pursue this, say they want to be involved in the arts organizations and they've never played an instrument or been in a show before, but that's a goal they set, and just keep checking in and seeing how that's going for them, so that they're able to like develop skills and develop, I guess, as a person as they go through their college journey.
Awesome. Well, I think that might be our last question. So thank you all so much for your help. And I'm going to now turn it over to Caroline.
You, Kenny. So at this point, we are going to open it up for overall questions. So feel free, if you haven't put a question into the Q&A yet, to add it there, and our whole panel of people and students will help to answer these questions. I'm also going to put some information into the chat for all of our email addresses. So if you have a question that might not be answered tonight, feel free to add it. Send us an email and we'll make sure that you get that answer.
I see a question in here for all of us on what's our favorite Bentley event?
That's an easy one for me. In advising, we call commencement our Christmas. It is Christmas season for us. It's the most joyous time. It's when we actually all participate by volunteering. We usually try and get the jobs closest to the stage. So we can actually see the students that we've been working with all 4 years receive their degree, cross the stage, and we're able to kind of give them a nice hug or pat on the back as they take their seats. So Christmas commencement for me.
For me, it's New Year's, which is the first year all students move in. I love the energy and the excitement, and the new piece. I do love commencement too, but it's the first day for me.
Mentioned mine already, but it's the activities fair. I love to see our student orgs plan and get excited to recruit new members. I love to see students starting to take those first steps into finding their new places and homes at Bentley. So the activities fair is one for me.
I feel like I couldn't work in orientation without saying orientation. But if I couldn't say orientation, then I would probably say our Diwali celebration that we have on campus. We typically have a lot of orientation team members that also participate in that. And so it's a really beautiful celebration that we have on campus. So I would say that's probably one of my favorites.
I was also going to say Diwali, but I will also add in our first day that we get to meet our incoming orientation team each spring is a really great day for us, when we get to see all of the new faces and all the new people who had applied, and we've seen them through application processes, but seeing the full group together for that first initial meeting is always a fun part of the year.
I would also say move in. There's nothing like going around campus and just seeing all the new students so excited to be here, or embarrassed by their loved ones, their families. And then our orientation leader is just so pumped to welcome everyone, and our other upper class students as well.
Do any of our OLs want to share their favorite events?
So the one I was thinking of isn't like a specific day, but I would say all the bingo nights Bentley has. It's such a fun way to get involved, and like a lot of different orgs will do their own bingo events. Like I won that TV last year. So it's just a lot of fun and a really great way to meet new people as well.
I guess I can go. I went to, I think it's called Falcon Flurries. It was like these igloos outside in January. It was my favorite event, just because I was sitting in there with a bunch of friends and more people kept walking in. It was really cool. So yeah.
So I was also going to say Diwali. Uh, but since it's been already mentioned, I'm going to shout out the other big cultural events, La Raza by La Cultura Latina and the Asian Culture Gala. I think those big cultural events are just amazing. Honestly, the food is my favorite part, but the performances are amazing too.
Um, we have another really important question that I want to make sure that we get to. There was a question about support that students have received in preparation for registration, course registration, and what that will look like as they continue into this semester. So, Melissa, would you share a little bit about that for us?
Yeah, thanks, PL, for the opportunity. I realized that was probably an oversight. So let's just quickly back up. I don't want to take up too much time, but I want to talk a little bit about the support they got for their first registration, and then we can build off that. So in July, they were introduced to our website, which had very specific information for either new first-year students or new transfer students. That included short videos, resources to learn more about the curriculum in their first semester, and also checklists they could follow along so that they stayed organized throughout the learning process as well as the registration process. They registered for classes in late July. Leading up to that, we had some Zoom drop-in sessions that they could attend, and we tried to make sure that those were at things that would be like maybe like around lunchtime or later in the afternoon in case they were working. We also invited the math department to host some drop-in hours alongside us in case there were specific math questions. So we did offer opportunities for students to chat with an advisor before the actual registration day. Registration day did take place in July. It was open for 24 hours, so it was the start of the registration when that opened at 10 a.m. and it closed the next day at 10 a.m. We spent the month of August, or a few weeks in August, actually reviewing every single student's schedule. So we reviewed what was the number today? 1134 schedules. To make sure that they were registered for the appropriate courses, that they were fully enrolled in courses, and that they followed some of our suggestions and guidelines for what makes a really good first schedule. If there were any concerns that we had, we emailed the student. If they were very serious concerns and things that would really negatively impact their experience in the first semester, we may have gone ahead and made those schedule adjustments, but then we immediately emailed the student with the explanation as to why we did that. We also hosted registration assistants when they were here for registration. So after they got their academic overview, we were in a computer room where for about 3 hours when students could come during that during the resource fair and sit with an advisor, have the opportunity to change their schedule if appropriate through the computers that were offered through the computer room. And with the amazing downpour and thunder and lightning, they came in droves because it was an indoor activity. So we also, when they got here, we've been hosting extended drop-in hours. So we have them every day from 11 to 3, but during this period, we were doing it from 11 to 4. And instead of just having our peer advisors hosting those, we had every single advisor hosting them so that we could provide support for as many students as possible. And so your first year students were also made aware that they could come to the extended drop-in hours during the first week. If they had questions about their schedule or concerns, that would be the best time to make the adjustment when the ad swap was open. We will be doing similar things for the upcoming registration for the spring. So when they register in November, we will have those drop-in sessions that are specific to first-year students, so only first-year students can come to those. We will have extended drop-in hours, and we will have Zoom support during the registration period. So when registration opens up for each population, we'll be sitting on Zoom. So no matter where they are, if they're having difficulty registering, they can hop into a Zoom link, be put into a breakout room, and speak to an advisor. We also did that for students in July when they registered for the first time.
Wonderful. Thank you, Melissa. That seemed to answer a lot of questions that folks had. So thank you for sharing that back. There was one question, and someone may have answered it, but it was about academic audit. It said, what is an academic audit? I didn't know if you could speak to what that is.
That is a great question, and I apologize. That's what we call the hidden curriculum, and it's what we need to be mindful of. We use terms that we assume everybody knows. So, an academic audit is a program that students can go into, and it shows exactly their degree requirements. So, it's called like a degree requirement audit. So, if they're declared international affairs major, it will filter in all of the courses for that major. In addition, it will filter in all the other courses that are required for them to graduate with their bachelor's degree. So it will have a list of all the 40 requirements. If there are specific courses, those are listed. And that is where, when a student registers, it will update and show that the course is in progress. When grades are submitted, they can see their grades in Workday, but they will also see them transfer over to their audit. So right where that course was in progress, it now shows that it's completed and it gives the grade earned. And then if classes have not been taken, it will show that they're still needed. So they're kind of coded in red to alert them that this is something that hasn't been filled yet and you need to do that. So it tracks what programs they're enrolled in, their GPA, the classes they've taken, the classes they need to take. And it also just keeps an account of how many credits earned thus far. So it gives them a double check at the bottom that they've actually hit a minimum of 120 credits to meet their degree.
Also, we also have a few questions about registration days for our first year students, and is it happening before or after Thanksgiving break?
It happens before. It's usually the first 2 weeks in November. It does, the registration days are assigned by credits earned. So our fourth year students, seniors, will go first. Those in their third year will go second. The next week, we will have our second year students go on the first day, and then on the last day, our first year students go. So they will eventually start moving up as they progress through their degree to the earlier registration times.
I also have a question about dining on campus and meal trades.
Caroline, we are evaluating the policy at this point. The policy has not changed. There have always been 5 meal trades, and we increased it to 7 this year and increased the hours of the 921 from 8 a.m. to 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. But the dining team, which is in another division of the university, is reviewing the student requests and looking at and working with student government. What was happening in the past was that the software was not picking up that students were using more than 5 of the meal trades that they had. So we understand it should have been communicated better to students, and we're working with SGA and the dining team. I will say though, as someone who eats a lot, at least lunch in the 921, I find it a really great option for students. And I know the other options are good as well in different spaces and sometimes more convenient. We want to make sure that convenience is there for students. But the dining team is always willing to walk a student around and help them find either healthier options or options that are vegan, or if there's an allergy, help them navigate those pieces. And as I said in another answer to a question, you're always welcome if you're coming to campus and visiting your student and you want to walk through, have a meal in the 921, you're more than welcome to do that. But we'll be in touch with students soon. I don't know when the dining department is going to be making some updates, but I know they're working quickly to address the concerns that students have raised.
Thanks, Andrew. At this point, we are going to wrap up our session tonight, but we hope you will continue to look out for more live chats. We have a whole series that are going to continue throughout this semester, and we hope that you will be coming to campus for Falcon Weekend next weekend. Thank you again for taking the time to learn a little bit more about orientation and resources here at Bentley, and if you have any questions, feel free to send them our way. Have a good night.